Dun 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 dun. Little pig, let me in.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Denzel, and welcome to my channel, if you want to call it that. You know, I dropped my first short film. Still pretty proud of it, but we've been away for a while ever since then. After years of procrastination, depression, and just being a bitch, we are finally back, and I think we're ready to start posting consistently. With this channel, my goal is to drop more short films in the future, but overall, I just want to create, more content. I want to create a bigger following and just see how YouTube grows. There will be, several different videos on this channel that have nothing to do with each other. Most of my content will be, about, movies, TV shows, even video games, or just, whatever I feel like creating. But for my return, I wanted to talk about a show that is very important to me and probably to you too. That show is Degrassi.
Your dad is gay.
Euphoria is written and directed by Sam Levinson, who also wrote and directed The Idol. The only thing I have to say about The Idol is that it's fucking boring. That's really it, if I'm being honest. But as soon as I started watching Euphoria, I was immediately hooked. I'm not gonna lie, I was a late fan when it comes to Euphoria. I started watching this shit with only like season 2 a couple months away. But I love it. I love this shit. I love this messy ass show. Sam Levinson, he did a pretty good job. The writing, cinematography, the drama, everything is just great. Zendaya's monologues. The only problem I could probably point out is maybe the dialogue. It could be a little fucking better.
Bitch, this isn't the 80s. You need to catch a dick.
And of course the acting, man. I thought it was fucking amazing. They picked the right people for these roles, and I couldn't wait for season 2. And when it finally came, I was very disappointed. I felt like all the hard work the writers put into these characters in season 1, it just kind of got pushed to the side for other characters and other plot lines. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed the messy drama, all the bullshit. I still loved it. But if we're being honest, season 1 and 2 are basically 2 different shows if you really break it down. But overall, the main thing that makes this show so good and attracts so many people to watch it is the garbage, narcissistic, pathetic, manipulative, insecure, violent, horny, and evil fucking characters. These characters are fucking awful, and it's beautiful to watch, man. I fucking love it. They're so bad, they're fucking good. I love watching flawed characters develop, dealing with their internal problems and their fucked up lives. Not taking responsibility for shit, fucking people over, then dealing with the karma. Oh man, Sam Levinson knew exactly what he was doing when he created this show, man. There are so many young people around the world who think they're fucked up, dealing with family problems and shit at school, and they will relate to this show. I feel like Sam Levinson is basically showing us that it's okay to be fucked up, as long as you're not fucked up to others. But the thing is, majority of the characters in this show are super fucked up. And today, I'm going to rank the 10 worst characters in Euphoria. No characters with little to no screen time in season 2 will be on this list. That includes characters like Mouse, Custard, McKay, and the twins. McKay was only in like 4 scenes in 1 episode in season 2. The twins were not in a single scene or episode in season 2 unless I'm fucking blind. Mouse died in the first 5 minutes of season 2, and Custard's just a fucking idiot who got caught by the feds, but he gave us Faye, so a win is a win. The characters on this list will be ranked based off the consequences of their actions, how their actions affect others, the reasons for their actions, and overall how shitty of a person they are. But before I start, I just want to say something. Listen, I'm not some TV movie critic like these other YouTube channels. I love Gary, I love Angry Joe, Drinker, Little Platoon. I idolize these people, truly. But I'm just a guy with a mic and a computer, for being honest, man. Of course, I want to make my own movies and TV shows one day. Entertainment is my life. And hopefully this is the beginning of greater things. But at the end of the day, this video is just an idea. That's all it is. It's an idea from my mind, and I wanted to share it with other people. And that's what majority of these videos on this channel will be. I'm not here to criticize your favorite show or tell you something's good or bad. Movies, TV shows, entertainment, like, this is my life. And I'm just here to talk about it. That's all it is. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. It's that simple. I'm not here to make enemies or friends. I just want you to watch my videos. With all that bullshit being said, let's get into it. Alright, at number 10 we have Faye. And I know some of you really like Faye. Shit, I like Faye too. For multiple reasons. I really like how she wasn't just some mindless junkie. You know, she actually had real character development, and she helped push the plot. When Custer became an informant for the feds, she stayed loyal to Fez and Ash, something she didn't have to do. But they did let her stay with them. Well, Fez let her stay with them. And it wasn't the best situation at first, but they actually ended up building some weird drug dealer junkie bond. I don't know what to call it. So her betraying Fez and Ash wouldn't have made any sense in my opinion. And I thank the writers for that, for not doing that bullshit. But we gotta talk about how she even ended up living with Fez and Ashtray in the first place. Like I said, Faye isn't just some mindless junkie, but she is a dumbass.
What's your name?
Cal.
Do you and your son, do you people together?
At the hotel her and Custer were staying at, Faye allegedly
I didn't do anything!
pushed the landlord off the fucking balcony. Custer had to help her escape through a fucking vent, which led to him getting arrested and instantly becoming an informant for the feds. And then he tried to get Faye's help, telling her not to say anything to Fez or Ash when he pulled up to the crib. Faye living with Fez and Ash was the only reason Custer felt comfortable entering their home with a weird phone talking about Mouse. Mainly because Faye knew about it, he thought she was on his side. This forced Faye to intervene, which led to Ash killing Custer, the police killing Ash, and Fez getting shot and most likely pinned for Custer's murder. I'm not about to sit here and say this could have all been avoided if Faye wasn't living with them, but in my opinion, the show makes it very obvious that the feds were keeping some type of tabs on Mouse, probably trying to catch the big fish, which is Lori. And when he went missing, they probably went looking for him. And they found his body, which led to them tracking down his number 2, which is Custer. And Custer instantly joins the team, becoming an informant. What happened was probably inevitable, if we're being honest. But I can guarantee, if Faye wasn't living with Fez and Ash, Custer would have never felt comfortable being in the same fucking room with just Fez and Ashtray. Let's not forget, Ash literally broke his fucking nose in the first episode of season 2 with a hammer. But because Faye was living with him now, and he thought she was on his team, he thought he was in a safe place, which led to his death. If Faye never pushes the landlord off the balcony, Custer and Ash would probably still be alive. And then they would have more time to deal with the Mouse situation. But she cut that time in half. But it's not completely her fault at the same time. I'll give her about 60% of the blame. And that's why she's number 10. Let's move on. At number 9, we have Elliot. Listen, I instantly disliked Elliot as soon as I saw him on screen. Sam Levinson added another fucking drug addict to the show. And just because he looked like this, nobody gave a fuck. I wouldn't say Elliot is a completely bad friend, but he isn't a good one either. He added absolutely nothing positive to Rue and Jules' relationship, and was ultimately the cause of them breaking up and falling out. Rue still doing drugs a secret. He actually encouraged Rue's drug use and almost witnessed her die. Elliot is clearly a man without purpose, and that is the type of person you always fucking avoid in your life. He vandalized a store and helped Jules steal beer. And then he started to fucking panic when Rue took one, telling her she shouldn't drink. Dude, if you knew beer and pills was a bad combination, why the fuck did you steal it in the first place? That should have never been in fucking Rue's vicinity, you fucking idiot.
Are you fucking drinking?
Yeah. Just one drink.
I don't care. Why are you drinking?
I'm not even into alcohol like that.
Then why are you drinking it?
You know, Elliot, just take me the fuck home, please.
Rue.
Nah, I want to go home.
Which leads to Rue lashing out and creating a bigger rift between her and Jules. She asks Elliot to pull over and let her out, and he actually fucking does it. Like, what the fuck am I watching? No sane person stops the car and lets a drunk, high, drug addict out on the side of the fucking highway. Those aren't friends. Then Elliot takes Jules to the crib, tells her everything, and then he fucks her. I'm sorry for the yelling, but it's just like, what is this guy's fucking purpose? Seriously. And then after a couple of rounds of fucking each other, they decided to tell Rue's mom everything. Listen, telling Rue's mom was the right thing to do, but they handled it in the worst way possible. Elliot being a part of this bullshit intervention makes absolutely no sense. He didn't say anything, but him being involved in it all is just ridiculous, if I'm being honest. I want everybody to understand something. I don't care if I was a bitter, lazy, smelly ass alcoholic that drinks at least an entire 6-pack of beer a day. I will not allow another alcoholic to judge me and tell me what I'm doing is wrong. Or even a fucking bird like Jules. Like, help me help you. Let's help each other. But fuck you if you think I'm worse than you. Overall, Elliot should have never kept Rue's secret in the first place. Honestly, I do think Jules and Rue's falling out was inevitable, but I think we can all agree that Elliot definitely sped up the fucking process. Like, that was genuinely his only purpose in the show. What else did he do? And for that reason, he's fucking number 9. Let's just keep fucking going. At number 8, we have Rue. Alright, listen. If you genuinely thought Rue wasn't going to be on this list, then we were clearly watching 2 different shows. I like Rue. I do like Rue. I mainly like how complex of a character she is, if I'm being honest. Dealing with mental illness, her father dying at a young age, which led to her path of using drugs. And I actually struggled with putting Rue on this list. Not because she doesn't deserve to be here, come on now. But only because I didn't know if she should be higher or lower. But after going through everything, I feel like this is a really good spot for her. Just above Elliot, but just below all the other really shitty people, if I'm being honest. Rue overall probably has the best character development in the show. I don't agree with the majority of her decisions, but they all create this complex character, like I said earlier. And you genuinely want to see her succeed and stay on the right path. And when she doesn't, it actually hurts to watch. Rue uses people. She's a liar, problematic, and she's verbally abusive. As soon as the show starts, Rue has just finished rehab and she does not plan on staying clean at all. So off rip, her mother has just spent thousands of dollars for her daughter's recovery and it meant absolutely fucking nothing. I already don't fuck with this character. Who wants to see somebody destroy themselves? When Rue meets Jules, she instantly starts falling for her. In season 1, the same feeling she got from Jules is the same feeling she got from taking drugs, which is very unhealthy and unstable.
You're a fucking greedy whore who just likes sucking the life out of people! And it fucking hurts, Jules!
Okay. And this leads to her blaming Jules for her fucking relapse later on in the show, which is bullshit. She even blames Fez for her addiction, which is also bullshit, something Fez didn't deserve.
You're a fucking dropout drug dealer. You know that? You're a fucking dropout drug dealer with 7 functioning fucking brain cells. Open the door!
But she did apologize to both of them, giving her some points back. When season 2 starts, she's already back on her bullshit. Drugs and thinking there's no fucking hope in the world. She literally almost fucking dies in the first episode of season 2. You would think that would be rock bottom for most people. Oh no, but not for Rue. This bitch laughs it off and just continues to fucking psycho with her new drug abuse buddy, fucking Elliot. God, I fucking hate this guy. And then Rue makes arguably the dumbest decision in the entire show. She convinces Lori to give her $10,000 worth of fucking drugs, knowing damn well she wasn't going to sell any of it, or pay her back properly. When Ali only asked her about the suitcase, she deflected and gave him attitude he didn't deserve. Ali always accepted Rue for who she was. So for her to treat him like that is just completely unacceptable. For me, it was fuck Rue after that scene, because she almost made Ali revert to his old ways. Ooh, fuck Rue for that scene.
Shut the fuck up. Don't play that shit with me. I've always accepted you for who you are. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Jimmy, shut the fuck up. I'm not some parent you can just treat like shit.
Yeah, well, good thing nobody's really looking you to be a fucking parent.
Yo, excuse me? One more fucking disrespectful word out of your mouth and we're done. You hear me? Hey, you hear me?
Well, what, Ali? You gonna hit me?
But overall, the suitcase was a little bit of a plot hole, if I'm being honest, because it really didn't lead to anything besides Rue's meltdown after her mother, Jules, and this fucking guy threw all that shit away in the toilet. We, the audience, knew why Rue reacted this way, but she still handled the situation in the worst way possible. Yelling and pushing Gia, tearing apart the house, running away, breaking and entering, trying to steal from Fez, almost getting arrested, stealing from Lexi's mom, and worst of all, guilt-tripping her fucking mother. I don't give a fuck how mad, depressed, sad you are. No mother should have to hear that, especially from her own fucking daughter of all people. And the amount of trauma that Rue put Gia through, for me, is unforgivable until season 3, if there is a season 3. No sibling, older or younger, should have to see what Gia saw, especially when it's the person you're looking up to. When the person you want to be like is showing you that life is pointless, you will emulate that. We saw glimpses of it when Rue caught Gia smoking weed multiple times. The one thing I do truly love about Rue is how protective she is when it comes to people she loves. She protects Gia from the twins, she confronts Nate about Jules, and she tells her mother she can do better than Rick. But no family should have to go through what she put her family through, and for that reason, she's number 8 on this list. Let's keep it going. Also, fuck Rick.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Alright, at number 7, we have Cassie. And I already know you probably think she should be higher on this list or not even close to Rue. But we'll get to that. First, I want to start this off by saying Cassie is one of my favorite characters in the show. I'm being honest.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Yes, I know. I understand. Now listen, before you...
Move this man!
I deserve that, I guess. I'll take it. Cassie is one of my favorite characters because she's one of the most complex characters in the show next to Rue. Her parents got divorced and her father became a drug addict, completely abandoning her and Lexi, which led to her seeking male validation from like literally fucking anybody. The difference between Cassie in season 1 and 2 is night and day. In season 1 we got this quiet, depressed Cassie that we all sympathize with. But in season 2 we got a more unhinged, self-centered Cassie we quickly lost sympathy for. She was treated like complete shit the entire first season by every guy, including McKay. But she also cheated on McKay twice. She had an orgasm in public, and she got an unfortunate abortion. And then, after all of that, in season 2, she decides to date the worst guy possible, who also happens to be her best friend's ex-boyfriend, who physically abused Maddie. Cassie is overall the second worst friend in the group in my opinion. She rats on Fez about beating up Nate, and even when Lexi confronts her about it, she still chooses to defend Nate in her decision.
I said Maddie because we're talking about how fucking crazy Maddie is, which you can't seem to fucking comprehend.
No, you don't understand, Nate, is I am crazier.
That's not something to be fucking proud of, Cassie.
No, but it is something you should be scared of.
What the fuck?
And then because Rue was the one who told everyone that she was fucking Nate, she targets her and belittles her situation, comparing her life to Rue's. She even calls Rue an addict when confronted about fucking Nate.
Rue?
It doesn't matter.
Because if we want to talk about people, let's talk about Rue.
Rue's a good girl.
And I'm not?
I didn't say you're not a good girl. Rue's had a very hard life.
Not hard better than my life or Lexi's life.
You can't compare your trauma to someone else's. It's just a very shitty thing to do. Like seriously, imagine looking at someone else's life and you come to the conclusion that yours is worse. Tropatotomy made a great video about Cassie breaking down the character and explaining her reasonings for her actions. In the video, she says Cassie is more pathetic in season 2 than in season 1, and I 100% agree. She's just a complete liability throughout season 2, putting her mother, sister, and even Nate through hell. She's completely delusional about the Nate situation, with her only excuse being Maddie and Nate were already broken up, which isn't the fucking point. At this point, Cassidy was truly lost, and the only thing she had was Nate, until episode 7. After that, she was truly unhinged, almost single-handedly sabotaging Lexi's play, and deservedly got smacked up for it. I genuinely love and appreciate how the writers changed Cassie from this sad, hopeless character to pretty much the main antagonist of season 2. She was the most entertaining character of season 2, and her character development was fun to watch. But at the end of the day, Cassie is just a delusional teenager with no male guidance and a shitty fucking friend. And for that, she's number 7 on the list. Let's keep it going. Not 100% sure, can't confirm or deny. I'm not really gonna talk too much about the Jules situation. Cal is clearly not a pedophile. He had no idea Jules was 17 because she obviously lied to him. Jules is new in town, so there's logically no way of him knowing Jules goes to the same school as his fucking son. And for the simps and the miserable women watching this video, right now, I want to make this very clear that I am not defending Cal. He didn't know Jules was a minor, but at the same time, he did make her take something, which is illegal and not okay. Cal treated his tapes like trophies, storing them away, and this is what led to the creation that is Nate Jacobs. But putting all the bisexual shit to the side, I personally feel like the worst thing about Cal is that he's just a terrible father. Like, it's really sad that Cal knows absolutely nothing about his son, despite them being so similar. And it's not just Nate, he fucked up Aaron too. Cal's children will never live normal lives ever again, and he has nobody to blame besides himself. He preaches about greatness and success, but he's honestly probably the most unhappy or depressed person in the show. And because he doesn't have any real happiness in his life, he looks for it through his son Nate, pushing this greatness and success bullshit on him. Cal wanted his sons to be nothing like the real him, which is why he portrays this masculine figure, but instead this pushes Nate farther away from him. For example, when Cal and Nate talk about the football game in season 1, he gives Nate zero compassion. He just criticizes his performance and tells him what he should have done. This turns into a small scuffle between them. Cal wins, but also realizes instead of creating the man he never was, he might have created a fucking monster. I'm not gonna lie, I did feel bad for Cal when we got his backstory. You know, he was in an unfortunate situation and he had to make a decision. And because of that decision, he was forced to play a character instead of the person he always wanted to be. When Fez beat the shit out of Nate, we saw how protective Cal can be. After Nate breaks down the whole situation, telling him the truth about Jules, Rue, Fez, and what he did to protect his father, Cal starts to lose it. He starts stalking Fez, which leads to Ash giving him a fucking concussion. And then he just fucking tells Fez and the others about fucking Jules. Like, he didn't have to do that.
Look, man, I didn't know she was 17.
What did he say? You telling me you had sex with Jules?
Who's Jewel?
What the fuck, man?
Do I know Jewel?
The fuck are we even talking about right now, bro?
Jewel.
After all of this, Cal kind of just gives up. He instantly accepts himself. He tells his family the entire truth and fucking leaves. I personally felt like this didn't make any sense. You know, you've been living a double life for 20 plus years. And then you find out your son knows everything. You get smacked in the head with a fucking 12 gauge. And then all of a sudden, you accept who you are. It's unfortunate the way Cal's story ended, but he did deserve it. Overall, Cal is just a very sad man, an animal, and a horrible father. And for all those reasons, he's number 6 on my list. Let's keep it going.
I'll see you assholes later.
At number 5, we have Maddie. Now, before I say anything about Maddie, just like with Rue, if you genuinely thought Maddie wasn't going to be on this list, I promise you, we were watching 2 completely different shows. Before we talk about the negatives, let's talk about the positives. Out of the entire friend group, Maddie is overall the best friend. She treated everybody the same and never did anything behind anybody's back. Even when Rue ran away from her mother and Gia and ran all the way to Cassie and Lexi's crib, Maddie greeted her like an equal. Even though Rue was clearly going through withdrawal, Maddie would never do anything to hurt you unless you did something to her. All the other girly teenage shit she does, all the antics, that's normal teenage shit. I don't have a problem with that, you know. All that back and forth between her and Nate, that's normal teenage shit. Not including the physical abuse, obviously. Like in the first episode when they're trying to make each other jealous, that's normal teenage shit. I'm not bashing Maddie for trying to make Nate jealous and him doing it back. That's normal shit. We've all done it before. But then Maddie fucks a random guy in a pool. That was my exact reaction when she asked Tyler to fuck her in the pool. And Nate's response is perfect. And then it all just gets laughed off like fucking in public is normal. And then this bitch tries to play delusional about the whole thing. And then she fucking lies about it to Nate, which leads to Nate finding and beating the shit out of Tyler for raping Maddie, which is bullshit. Tyler is an innocent man who was manipulated by Maddie, using her looks, body, and mind against him. I will admit, Tyler should have been stronger than this in this situation. But if we're being honest, you can't really blame him. Shit, I mean, if Alexa was in my ear like this, man, I probably would have voted too. So the writers used Tyler. I actually am lying. In reality, I would have immediately noticed that this bitch is trying to make another man jealous. But this is fiction we're talking about. A man being used and thrown away. And that's not fiction. That's something that happens every day in the world you and I live in. Men being manipulated, being put in situations they should have avoided. But unfortunately, there was a cute girl in front of them. And they weren't strong enough. And the saddest part about it is the girls know it. And when they know, it makes it that much easier to tell a little lie here, a little lie there. Slowly but surely, bring everybody to her side, leaving the man over there alone. I'm not trying to turn this into women versus men type shit, or how women use their power to control us. Let me rephrase that. All I'm really trying to say is I know way too many Maddies in my life. Way too many. But let's move on to the carnival. As usual, Nate is being a bigger girl than every girl around him, ordering Maddie to go home and change her clothes because her family was there. Sorry, I meant his family was there. Instead, she linked up with Cassie and she bought some Molly. After getting high and talking about how shitty both their boyfriends are, Maddie decides to tell Cassie about all the dicks in Nate's phone, which is never brought up again in season 2, by the way. And then after that, instead of doing something very stupid together, they decide to both do something very stupid separately. Both high off Molly, Cassie fucks a machine, and Maddie confronts Nate and his family after winning the chili competition, knocking over the pot, and calling Nate's mom a word I shouldn't say on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to be here right now because I'm dressed like a hooker and none of you like me. But I just wanted to say congratulations.
Maddie, get out of here.
You cunt.
And this is one of those moments when you're watching television and you realize you are truly watching fiction. At least for me. Like, there's a food truck in the middle of the carnival selling fucking Molly. Kat is somewhere getting fucked by a random fucking carnival employee she went to school with. There's a 17-year-old girl having an orgasm on a carousel. And then there's this shit.
You cunt.
And I fucking love it all. My only question is, what the fuck did Nate's mom do? Like, damn. She did, what the fuck? And this leads to Nate's physical abuse. And then again, Maddie lies about it. And then again, another man gets blamed for it. Also, Jules gets involved. So real quick, let's break it all down now. Maddie fucks Tyler in a pool. Nate beats up Tyler for it because she lied about it. Maddie fucks up the Jacobs family chili stand, which leads to Nate's physical abuse, which leads to her passing out in school and lying about it, which leads to Nate getting arrested, Tyler getting blackmailed, which also leads to Jules getting blackmailed to help falsely accuse Tyler, which leads to Rue figuring it all out, Rue telling Fez, Rue's threatening Nate, Nate snitching on Fez. Fez is forced to kill a father because of the drugs he lost. And then that leads to Nate getting his ass beat in season 2, which leads to Cal stalking Fez and gets a concussion for it. And then that leads to
I'll fuck men, I'll fuck women, I'll fuck transsexuals, and I'll have a mighty fine time doing it.
regardless of how much you fucking love Maddie, all her little lies got a lot of people involved in shit they were never even a part of. Because of her mother and father's relationship, Maddie disregarded everything her mother said about Nate, telling her her mother has no clue what love is. And I don't think Maddie's idea of love is wrong, but it's definitely flawed. She loves the fact that Nate would do anything to protect her, and I think she loves the unbalance of the relationship. But it got to a point where Nate truly had control over Maddie, and that's when the physical abuse became more consistent. Maddie deserves everything that happened to her, especially the Cassie situation. The only thing Maddie did not deserve was a fucking gun to her head. This was the first time in the show I genuinely felt bad for Maddie. One of the most traumatizing scenes when you first watch it, not knowing how it might end. And I'm not afraid to admit, when I first watched this scene, watching Maddie curl up and cry in her bed, man, I teared up too. I don't really have sympathy for people, man. If I'm really being honest, like, I don't pity people or feel sorry for them. Shit happens, but we gotta work tomorrow. That's just how I live. Everybody is dealing with something, everybody. But I do empathize. And in this situation, Maddie did not deserve this trauma. Not at all. Fuck you, Nate Jacobs. Obviously, in season 2, Maddie was pretty chill and non-problematic, but that's mainly the writers doing. They kind of put her and a lot of characters in this fucking corner. Season 2 was really just about Cassie, Nate, Cal, Rue, and then Lexi and Fez. Everybody else only got around 5 to 2 genuine scenes by themselves. But Tyler is still sitting in a jail cell. And like I said, some of the shit Maddie lied about in season 1 still lives on in season 2 through characters that weren't even fucking involved in the beginning. Like, would Mouse even be dead if Fez didn't have to rob that house? And if Nate didn't call the cops? And Rue didn't tell Fez? And
Okay, stop.
All I'm trying to say is this all started because Maddie decided to fuck a random dude in a pool just to make her abusive boyfriend jealous. And for that reason, she's number fucking 5 on my list. Before I continue, I want to end this off by saying, if you think I'm attacking Maddie or I just dislike her because she's a girl and I've been talking about men and blah blah blah, I need you to understand something. Like, really, I do not attach myself to things like you. I love this show, I do. But it is not a representation of my life. I don't act like it is, unlike you. So if you still have a problem with Maddie being on this list and you think she's a victim and all this and all that bullshit, then the problem is either one of 3 things. It's either 1, you honestly were not watching the show, like, at all. Or 2, you honestly really want to be like Maddie, like, genuinely. Or it's 3, it's both. Moving on. Alright, continuing on. At number 4, we have Ash. Now, if I didn't lose you at Cal or Maddie's ranking, I probably definitely lost you now. Now, I want to start this off by saying Ash is probably the smartest character in the show, but he's still a fucking child, and it shows. Yeah, we're not going to spend too much time talking about Ash. In season 1, Ash is pretty chill, honestly. The only bad thing he does is help a teenage girl start a webcam profile. That's pretty much it. I do think Ash is a decent character, but his decision making, there's really no other way to describe it besides childish. Like, killing 2 people in 1 season is just ridiculous, especially if you didn't need to. Mouse and Custer were both shitty characters that deserved to die, but in both situations, killing them was the worst thing to do, easily. The average fan probably wouldn't agree, but me personally, I think the writers made it pretty obvious that in the 2nd season, the police were investigating Mouse and keeping tabs on him and Custer, probably trying to catch the big fish, which is Lori. After Mouse's death, the police tracked down Custer, probably pinning Mouse's death on him, using this to squeeze information out, hoping that he would give up the big fish. But knowing if he did that, he'd probably die from Lori, so he threw the boys under the bus. I already talked about this when I was going over Faye, but killing Mouse led to the police going after his number 2, leading to him becoming an informant, and you really don't need to talk about the second death. This led to the raid, and obviously Ash's death, and most likely Fez being pinned for Custer and Mouse's death.
Stupid. 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 Stupid.
Fucking idiot. That's why he's number 4. Moving on. Alright, we made it to the final 3. Starting us off with number 3 is Kat. And we're gonna jump right into this shit. Kat is overall the worst friend in the group. Not even close. This bitch plays a fucking character online and in real life. Kat is very insecure about her body. She's been this way ever since she was young, and this is what led to her living majority of her life online. Now, Kat does have a huge following online, you know, for her fan fiction, but it's anonymous. You know, she doesn't think the people online would like the real her. And a lot of people live this way, if we're being honest. You know, so many people living online, creating personas that just don't help them in real life. You know, they're posting their problems online, seeking validation, fucking sympathy from other people, or they're posting other people's problems online, ruining their lives, getting them canceled, and just turning people against them because they're just so fucking miserable. But at the end of the day, social media isn't real, for being honest. Everything you posted or shared will not matter 5 years from now. It probably won't even matter 5 weeks from now. I'm sorry if I'm getting off topic, but social media has really hindered a lot of people's progress, including Kat. The only thing that changes for a lot of these people is the problems they're dealing with. And now apps like TikTok have reached its final form because I don't know what the fuck this is.
Yes, 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 Bob, amazing. Meow, 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 rah, rah. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, yes, yes.
And you know, the worst part about all this bullshit, you know, fucking Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you know, if all of these apps shut down tomorrow, millions of people would be lost. I'm not saying they wouldn't know what to do, but a piece of them would definitely be gone. And me personally, I just think that's sad. But let's get back to Kat. Kat loses her virginity to some random guy, and afterwards she finds out she was being recorded. At first she tries her hardest to get the video completely erased, but when she realizes random men online think she's hot, she gains a little bit of confidence in her body and starts to embrace it. She changes her hair, her wardrobe, and we don't have a problem with that. But this isn't who Kat really is. She uses this new persona to gain some self-confidence on the outside, but on the inside she's still the most insecure person in the show, and it's not even close. A lot of women, not just Kat, struggle with understanding the difference between confidence and self-esteem. They play these characters for the world to see, but on the inside these women are insecure, jealous, and can't fully commit to anything. After the switch up, Kat became a cam girl, using this new self-confidence to sell herself online and gaining following, which leads to her becoming a dominatrix. Hold on, a dominatrix. What? What? How do you pronounce this shit? A dominatrix. Whatever, don't judge me. And she genuinely starts to believe that all men are pathetic. We've probably all met a dominatrix, whatever. We've all met at least one of these before in our lives. And you didn't know. You know, you probably have a family member who's a dominatrix and you would never know. Unfortunately, I did know when I met a dominatrix. At first, I did not believe her at all. I've known this girl since like middle school. So when she told me she was a dominatrix, I laughed in her face, I'm gonna be honest. But then she showed me everything, man. Oh man. Oh, these men are ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I saw the money she was making. I saw the men that were paying her, sending her videos. I saw the conversations. I just stood there and turned to her and I said, I believe you. And then I went home and I blocked her on everything. You might think that's a little extreme, but in that moment you wouldn't understand. Like, dog, it dead ass felt like I just found out one of my boys was sucking dick in high school. Like, it was that bad. I did not want any connections with this bitch. But fellas, let's be honest. For the right girl, we'll do some nasty shit, man. But if you saw the shit these niggas were saying and doing, not even Rihanna herself could make me do half this shit I saw on that phone, bro. Like, well, maybe Zendaya. But all jokes aside, these are the type of women that look down on men. But the thing they don't understand that these men aren't really attracted to them. They're only attracted to the character that they are playing. You fucking goofy. Like Kat, she genuinely thinks all men are pathetic just because of the little bullshit attention she was attracting from her new persona. Kat thinks men wouldn't like her for who she is, but Ethan does, and I can't understand why. But they go to the carnival and she ends up seeing Ethan talking to some girl about homework, but she obviously doesn't know what they're talking about, so she ditches and she gets fucked by a random carnival employee she used to go to school with. You just can't make this shit up, bro. Imagine taking your girl like bowling or somewhere, my nigga, and she just gets fucked by a random employee, bro. Like, and you don't even know. Like, you'll literally never know. Nah, bro, these women are diabolical. After that, when Maddie really needed her, she blows her off so she can give some random guy a blowjob, and he didn't even last a minute. This is what I mean by Kat being the worst friend in the group. Despite what Cassie was doing behind Maddie's back, if Maddie needed her, Cassie would be there. Same with Lexi. Even fucking Jules would have been there. And she's not even part of the group, in my opinion. Maddie even calls her out later on in season 1 when Cassie asks everybody for advice and Kat chooses to be the most negative person in the room. But by the end of season 1, she gains a little bit of self-respect and she actually starts taking Ethan seriously. Points for her. By season 2, she stops webcamming and she's basically just dating Ethan. But just like Maddie and other characters, Kat got pushed to the side for season 2 with less than 6 solo scenes. She's still struggling to accept herself and Ethan's love. She thinks she deserves better than Ethan, when in reality, she doesn't even deserve Ethan!
I have a brain disorder.
Huh? What?
It's the rest of the sentence.
You get with guys thinking you're the prize and you deserve to live a certain way and deserve special treatment, and when you don't get it, you think you need a different guy who can handle you when you didn't deserve that guy in the first place, because that man actually cared about you and wants to grow with you as a person. But you want to stay right here. That's cool, because that's not his fault, it's yours. Before you can love anyone, you have to love yourself first. When Kat tries to break up with Ethan, she lies about having a brain disorder, bro. And when Ethan calls her out for lying, she gaslights him. Tries to make him seem like he's the problem. And he's the one trying to end this relationship. But Ethan, being a real ass nigga, holds it together and keeps it pushing. And this happens every day to men who aren't strong enough or aware enough to realize they are not the problem. I'm not gonna lie, I was in a similar situation myself. Alright. I'm not really afraid to admit that, I don't know, about 5 years ago, maybe a little bit more, your boy was a simp. It is what it is. Your boy was out here simping. I was dating this girl that I was working with, bro, and she could do no wrong in my eyes because I genuinely liked her and cared about her. But to her, your boy was just a rebound or something different from what she was used to. I was just a regular dude, feel me? Loved anime, loved to write. I wasn't obsessed with movies and television as much as I am now. But what she was used to was, you know what I'm talking about. Niggas who like to lie and cheat. Those are the type of people she liked. So to her, I was a breath of fresh air for about a month. And then this bitch stopped fucking with me. Dead ass. Bro, I would tell her, yo, let's go out, let's do this. And she would say, nah, I don't want to. I dead ass didn't realize this bitch was just avoiding me, bro. It was tough times, my nigga. Don't judge me. But when I finally did call her out on her bullshit, she proceeded to gaslight me, just like Kat did to Ethan. And unfortunately, I was not the man I am today. So I was in that situation right there. I was trying my hardest to fix the whole thing, keep her and all that. What ended up happening is this bitch made me meet her at Starbucks to talk about breaking up. And I'm sitting there with a fucking coffee in my hand thinking like, damn, I really fucked this up. When in reality, I can do 10 times fucking better, and I did. Now, before y'all say like I'm just venting and all this bullshit, like listen, I do not hold a grudge against this woman at all. If you're watching, I do not hold a grudge against you. I would genuinely thank her, bro. Like, if none of that ever happened to me, I'd probably still be treating women like they're the prize. She made me realize women are not important, bro. Obviously, women are important in our society, but from an individual perspective, if you want to be successful, you want to create your own value and become the person you always want to be, then you do not need validation from anybody, let alone a fucking female or a male, whatever the fuck you're into. But as a man, your past does not define your future. It is always you versus you. So when I watched this scene, I watched it like this. No cap. I want to end this off by saying, if you're a woman walking around saying men ain't shit, men are pathetic, men are the problem, blah, 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 it's cool. It's okay. That's fine with me. But as long as you know all the men you actually like and want, they are never going to take you seriously. Ever. And you deserve it. Number 2, let's keep fucking going. At number 2, we have Jules, and I want to start this off by saying I hate this bitch, bro. Jules is arguably the biggest bird on television. In my opinion, she's worse than fucking Manny Santos, and that's just hilarious.
Find a word, don't doubt it. Get it right this time, 'cause you carry life. You'll be doing without it. Get it right this time, or take it.
I compare Jules to Elliot, man. She's just a useless fucking character who only creates problems. In season 1, she's a new girl in town. She isn't a part of any main friend group. She really only interacts with Rue and Kat in the first season, and you can argue she gets closer with Maddie in season 2, but the writers literally only gave us one single scene with them together. And of course, they're talking about Nate. In season 1, Jules has multiple relationships with men and women. Being a transgender woman, she comes off as more feminine than most women in this show, and she does this to appeal to men in their validation. In her own words, she wants to conquer men. I will admit, Jules is a pretty confident person. She knows she's a bird and she's okay with it. She also knows Rue really fucking likes her, but chooses to ignore it in the beginning for multiple reasons. But when they do start getting closer, Jules doesn't really take it seriously. Just like a lot of you bitches with boyfriends.
You need to leave!
Shut up. Anyways, when Jules realizes that she's the reason Rue is sober, she starts to create a distance and it starts to weigh on her. And this is understandable, you know. It's hard dealing with someone who depends on you, especially when that person reminds you of someone you don't like. Jules sees her mother in Rue, and we really don't need to talk about that. Alright, so let's really get into it now. Jules uses a dating app or whatever to hook up with men older than her, and we already know Jules is 17 years old and she has over 100 bodies. That's fucking disgusting. There's no other way to put it. And this is confirmed in season 2 when Jules and Rue interrogate Elliot. There are women who are in their 30s, bro, who haven't even fucked 10 men, and that's amazing. Like, in my opinion, sex is just way too important to be out here fucking multiple people in just 1 year. You're giving yourself to someone and they're doing the same. I can't just fuck a random girl I just met at a bar or after a first date or first meeting. It just doesn't make any sense to me why you give yourself to someone who doesn't even know you. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't always think this way. You feel me? I was outside just like the rest of y'all, but I'm 27 years old now. Plus, my game is kinda trash, I ain't gonna lie. Feel me? If my jokes ain't hitting, I'm dead in the water. But I'm not fucking women I don't know. It just won't happen. If you can't tell me my favorite movie or my fucking mother's name, like, we ain't fucking. Jules matches with Dominant Daddy, aka Cal, and decides to meet him at a motel to get rammed. Listen, if you want to join a hookup site and meet some fucking stranger that will probably kill you or just give you some good dick, there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine, you know, for being honest. Unless you are a minor and lying about it. Not only are you doing something illegal, you are purposely putting whoever else is involved in danger they didn't even know they were in. They thought they were just about to get a quick fuck. Now there's a fucking lawsuit on them because they fucked a 16-year-old girl who said she was fucking 30. Cal clearly had no idea he was fucking a 17-year-old child. If he did, he would have left immediately. Cal is a father. A shitty father. But nonetheless, he is not interested in fucking children. Cal may be an animal, but he is not a pedophile. This lie created a web that affected a lot of people. Nate used this web to blackmail Jules and put his father in jail. Jules helped put an innocent man in jail, and that's one of the top 3 most fucked up things in this show. Fuck Jules. Like, also, confronting Cal at the carnival made absolutely no sense. Cal did nothing wrong in the situation besides the obvious, which is lying and cheating on your wife. But Jules is 17 years old, meeting up with men twice her age. And I want you guys to understand, Cal was never in a winning situation. If we're being completely honest, it wouldn't have mattered if Jules was fucking 30 years old. As soon as Cal put his goddamn thumb in Jules' mouth, millions of women watching deemed Cal vile, disgusting right there. And he is. I won't disagree. But so is Jules. And a lot of people give her a pass when they watch this scene. But I can't, and I won't. I feel like I need to say this again for the dumb people watching. I am not defending Cal. I do not like either of these characters. They both should be at home with their fucking families. But if you're going to blame Cal, you have to blame this bitch too. With all that being said, I still really enjoyed Jules' story in season 1. Watching her be free and happy to being stressed and overwhelmed while still fantasizing about Nate, Anna, even telling Rue she loves her. You know, it was great character development to watch. But unfortunately, the differences between Jules in season 1 and 2 are night and day. In season 2, just like other characters, Jules gets pushed to the side. Yes, she's in most of the episodes, but compared to season 1, her lines of dialogue are literally cut in half. She has less screen time and she doesn't have a single episode or scene to herself except when rewatching the tape of her and Cal. And season 2 just immediately starts with her being back in town, even though we left off with her leaving Rue in season 1. Meaning if you didn't watch the special episodes, you were just lost when you saw fucking Jules on screen. And Anna is just gone, like she was never even fucking there. Like, what was even the point of that shit? In season 2, she says she doesn't like men anymore, but we all know that's a lie. It's more she's tired of men if anything because of all the bad experiences she's had. But she immediately starts fucking with Elliot. This bitch has no discipline or restraint. Throughout season 2, we can see the inevitable end of Jules and Rue's relationship, especially when Elliot gets involved. They get into one real fight and she instantly cheats on Rue. Why the fuck was the drug addict a part of the beer run? Why are you mad about the drug addict drinking a beer that you just stole? Why are you letting the drug addict go home by themselves? It just doesn't make any sense at all, man. And then Elliot tells Jules the truth about Rue still doing drugs, and she decides to fuck him.
You serious?
It just blows my mind how ridiculous it is, man. But I love it. I fucking love it. This show is just out of control. And then she tells Rue's mom about her still using drugs, and this was the right thing to do. But like I said earlier, it was handled in the worst way possible. And the fact that Jules couldn't even figure this shit out on her own is just fucking hilarious. Overall, Jules added absolutely nothing positive to the show. She did help Rue stay clean in season 1, but she was also one of, if not the main reason why she relapsed. In my eyes, The only differences between her and Elliot is the obvious, and he does drugs. They only create problems, never solutions. They would make a perfect couple, honestly. I could see them, dating in season... What the fuck is this? Okay, whatever. Moving on. Before we go to number 1, I want to give out some honorable mentions that did not make this list. My first honorable mention will be McKay. There aren't many boyfriends in Euphoria, but besides Nate, he is the worst boyfriend overall. And he's arguably the most pathetic character in the show, next to Cassie and probably Cal. My second honorable mention will be Suzanne, Cassie and Lexi's mom. She was an alcoholic, and she had little to no authority in the crib. Any real authority, by the way. She allowed underage drinking as well. She never bounced back after her husband left the fam. It sucks, but she never stepped up to the plate after that, unfortunately. And my last honorable mention is Rick.
You know what, Rick? Why don't you go fuck yourself?
Fuck Rick. And at number 1, we have the captain of the East Highland football team, Nate fucking Jacobs, the menace himself. We all knew who was gonna be number 1 on this list before we even started. Nate is a goddamn menace to this world. He is by far the worst friend in the entire show, the worst boyfriend, and the worst son in the show. Surface level, Nate is everything you want to be in high school. He's tall, handsome, captain of the football team, has one of the baddest girls in school on his arm. Nate could have had the perfect high school life if he never found his dad's tapes, but here we are. Nate isn't just another Cal, no. He's worse, mainly because he hasn't accepted who he is yet. Because of his father, Nate hates anything that isn't masculine when it comes to men. So, he decided to become as masculine as possible, creating this toxic masculine personality. But when it comes to women, he has an obsession with hyper-feminine traits that help him stay away from anything man-related when it comes to relationships. Their clothes, shoes, bodies, even the fucking hair on their arms. Like, he dislikes any girl that sat like a man, talks like a man, or did anything manly. Which is why he fell for Maddie and Jules, because they both fit the description. The only problem with Jules is, because she's trans, she isn't his ideal hyper-feminine girl he's looking for, causing confusion, and he treats her like a threat when he starts to like her. This is also why in season 1 he talks so much shit to McKay about dating Cassie because of her sex tape, nudes, and other men she's been with. He doesn't like his brother or his mother, but surprisingly he had an okay relationship with his father, until he didn't. So let's really get into it.
Welcome home.
Fuck! What the fuck, man?
Hi, Tyler.
Now, Nate would literally do anything to protect Maddie, so when she fucking lied about being raped in the pool, he found out where Tyler lived. How? I couldn't fucking tell you, but he proceeded to stalk him the entire fucking day, watching him work and then wait for him at the crib. And while he's doing all of this, he's also catfishing Jules, texting her like he's a fucking 16-year-old virgin, saying all this soft bullshit me and you would text a girl fucking 10 years ago. Or maybe just me. All that soft shit trying to get to know a girl nowadays doesn't work on these city girls. Nowadays, shut the fuck up is considered flirting. And that's not a joke. Tyler finds a stranger in his apartment and is accused of something he didn't do. And Nate knows this. But Maddie is also a minor and Tyler is 22 years old who was at an underage party. He was manipulated by Maddie, but Nate doesn't give a fuck. He beats the shit out of him and then uses his identity to catfish Jules. Fast forward to the carnival, and like I said earlier, Nate is acting like a little girl because of Maddie's outfit, telling her it's disrespectful and shit. And he doesn't even treat her like she's a fucking human being. And Maddie, understandably, she gets tight about this, storms off, but it leads to one of the dumbest decisions in the entire show. When Maddie confronts Nate and his family, knocking over the chili pot and shit. I don't give a fuck about the Molly. It's just dumb. And this is what leads to Nate's physical abuse. Nate doesn't know how to control his emotions, which leads to violence towards Maddie, Jules, and Cal. This is why it is very important to have 2 stable and responsible parents in the household. Parents that can truly provide emotional support and guidance. Regardless of the gender, a mother's responsibility is to nurture her child and teach them right and from wrong. A father's responsibility is to teach them discipline and prepare them. It is very important that a child receives two different versions of love. It's so hard for children who are only living with one parent or none. They aren't receiving the type of love they need to properly to survive in this pile of shit we call life. Being a human being is hard, and sometimes we make it even harder for ourselves. In this situation, Nate has both, but Cal's a fucking monster, and Nate doesn't even like his mother because she's a pushover. Nate never received the proper guidance to control his emotions, and I blame the parents. When a man isn't taught proper discipline and his emotions are running wild, he could snap just like that. And now we have another mass shooting. I do not mean to get deep, I don't mean to get off topic, but without the right guidance, your son will become another Nate, and your daughter will become another Rue. Please talk to your children, for the love of God. Back to the show. After the carnival, Nate is arrested for choking Maddie, which leads to him blackmailing Tyler and Jules. This nigga also was stalking Maddie and Jules, even watching Jules' house at night. He took everything him and Jules said, plus her online profile information, to use against her and force her to help put an innocent man in jail. And again, this leads to Rue figuring it all out, telling Fez. Fez threatens him, and Nate calls the boys, getting Fez raided, which leads to the death of a father and Mouse. Nate and Maddie were the cause of all the worst shit that happened in season 1. So watching Fez beat his ass in the very first episode of season 2 was great, but also surprising because Nate may be a menace, but he's also probably the smartest character in the show. Everything he did was diabolically planned, also several steps ahead. So no disrespect to Angus, rest in paradise, but seeing Fez catch him off guard so easily after what he did to him was kind of shocking. Nate is one of the few characters that didn't fully change in season 2. He was less of a jock, but he still was a fucking sociopath, and his toxic masculinity was worse than it ever was. In season 2, we really wanted to see how Nate's relationship with Jules and Maddie would turn out, but that wasn't the case. This nigga hated Cassie in the first season because of how sexually active she was, which is one of the main reasons he liked Maddie, because she wasn't. Nate suddenly being interested in Cassie is somewhat of a plot hole in my opinion, and it's very inconsistent for the type of character Nate is. We went from Nate being confused about his sexuality the entire first season to instantly falling in love with the most pathetic girl in the entire show.
Fuck all that! Nah, ain't no fuck all that.
In the first episode of season 2, by the way, in season 1, there are multiple times we saw how much Nate did love Maddie, but in season 2, there is none of that with Cassie. They are either arguing or fucking. There is no in between. The only quote-unquote good scene Nate has in season 2 is the one we were all waiting for, when he brings Jules the disc of her and Cal. In this moment, Nate accepts his feelings for Jules, claiming everything he said when they were texting was true. I was upset we only got one scene of this, but I'm also grateful. The only problem with this scene is that it came after, in my opinion, the worst thing Nate has done in the entire show. Nate traumatizing Maddie just to get the disc back is fucking awful. Watching this scene for the first time, bro, my body was so tense I thought I was gonna shit myself. And then he just sits there watching her cry as if she's overreacting, like, bro, put this nigga under the jail.
Stop crying, it won't do any good. And anyway, you have a lot of work to do, starting right now.
And then after Lexi's play, he turns his dad into the police, giving them everything. He went from protecting his dad to being the one who destroyed him. When I was talking about Jules, I said she brought nothing positive to the show, but was seen as a positive to the majority of the audience. Nate, on the other hand, from the very beginning was viewed as negative, and that never changed. I said in season 2, Cassie was the main antagonist, but overall, Nate was always the main antagonist, villain, or whatever the fuck you want to call him. He was psychotic, inhumane, and just a piece of shit. And I hope something really bad happens to him in season 3. And those are, those are the 10 worst characters in Euphoria. So yeah, I want to end this video off by saying, yeah, if you think I'm a hater, critic, bitter, or any of those things, that's cool. I'm gonna let you think that, could care less, but I genuinely love this show and probably like it more than you. This is probably like the first time you're actually thinking about Euphoria in the past couple months or even years. There is nothing wrong with liking a shitty character. For example, my favorite character in Game of Thrones is Cersei Lannister. I'm not afraid to admit it. I love that bitch, and I will to the death of me. but she was by far one of the worst characters in the entire show. Arguably the worst, if you're not including, you know, the actual maniacs. So just to be clear, just because you have a favorite character does not mean they are not a walking pile of feces. I do plan on dropping more of these videos in the future, but I don't want this to be a hate channel, you know? I want to talk about things I love as well. But this is something I love. I'm just giving you a different point of view. Well, yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I don't want to take too much more of your guys' time, you know? I know our attention spans are getting lower by the day. You know, go watch your next video or go open your next app, you know, go do your thing. I hope you watch the next video. If you didn't like the video, thanks for the view. Have a good night.
Leave us.